Fintan Marybrook awoke, but when he opened his eyes, he saw nothing but darkness all around him. "Hello? What's going on? Where am I?" His questions echoed through the abyss. He was aware of his body, but he couldn't move. It was as if all his senses had been dulled. A set of footsteps reached his ears. Tiny splashes, like they were walking across the surface of water. A blurry light appeared in the distance, illuminating a small portion of the crushing darkness. It had the shape of a man, but it was featureless. A being of light. It continued to approach until it was mere steps in front of Fintan. While he had never seen anything like it, Fintan could feel something radiating off of it. The hint of consciousness. The spark of life. It was weak, but it was there. It was the shell of someone who had once been whole. A shade. "Scar, my brother, is that you?" Fintan asked. The shade did not respond, but Fintan knew his instincts were not wrong. "So, is that what will become of me after epochs? Will the rot eat away at me until I'm nothing more than an empty shell?" The shade remained silent. "Between you and me, I should have seen this coming. This Blackheart fellow is quite clever. He can somehow retain himself while also housing the rot. Remarkable, really, but no mortal being could do that," Fintan remarked. He sighed. "A Titan could, though. He bears a striking resemblance to you. I'm guessing that's not an accident." The shade remained silent. Fintan tried to move his eyes, tried to look around, but he was nothing more than a statue that could blink and speak. "Well, if all I can do is talk, then I suppose there's something else I'd like to get off my chest." The shade listened, but it did not speak. "This isn't the first time I've assembled an Order of the Pawn. Did you know that?" Fintan asked. Silence. "Right, yes, I keep forgetting this is a one-sided conversation. Well, you know we all possessed one of them. The chronospheres, I mean. I kept my promise to Khazra and gave her sphere to the elves, but the rest I hid away. Except for mine, of course." Fintan choked back a sob as the memories he had kept at bay for so long came rushing back. In this place, he would be forced to bathe in his sins. "I tried assembling a large group. I tried assembling a small one. I recruited humans, Talion. Even one time I went back and made an Order of the Pawn entirely of dwarves. It never worked. They always failed." Fintan wanted to cry, but he couldn't produce tears. "Sometimes it was the rot. Sometimes it was the old gods. Sometimes it was the Verak Horde, and every time, an innocent soul paid the price. I fed the chronosphere as many souls as it wanted. I kept going back in time, over and over. I assembled every team I could conceive of, but it just never worked." He sighed deeply as the shade listened. "I really thought this time would be different. Maybe Devine was always meant to fall." Yeldarb reached the ramshackle cabin where he had last seen Fintan, Sarai, and the other members of the Order. Yeldarb paused to catch his breath. Kevindrel sat on his shoulder. The tiny squirrel's eyes scanned the landscape with surprising focus. The doorway in front of him swung open. The golden light of the radiant refuge flowed out into the clearing. Sarai stepped out, her sapphire eyes glistening with tears.
"Yeldarb, is that you?" she asked.
Yeldarb nodded. "Yes. I bring dire news. Where is Fintan? He's not answering when I try to reach him using the Kintari stone." Sarai took a step forward on shaking legs. A sob escaped her lips as she collapsed onto the steps. Yeldarb rushed forward. Kevindrel leapt off his shoulder and ran to Sarai's side, concern painting the squirrel's face. "Sarai, what's wrong? What happened?" Yeldarb asked, laying a hand on her shoulder. Sarai took a moment to compose herself.
"Not here. Come inside."
Yeldarb helped her back to her feet. Kevindrel sped past them, running inside and eagerly sniffing the air around the quaint bar.
"Why do you have a squirrel with you? Where is Melisari and Isara?"
Sarai asked. "It's a long story. Isara has lost control of her rage demon, and Melisari is wounded, but in the care of the fairies. The squirrel's name is Kevindrel. He's one of the ancients." Kevindrel climbed onto the bar and surveyed the room as Yeldarb took Sarai over to one of the tables and helped her sit down. He sat across from her. "Tell me what's happened. Are the children safe?" Yeldarb asked. Sarai nodded.
They're in the other room sleeping. I'm sure they'll be awake any moment now.
"And what of Finton? Where is he?" Sarai took a deep, shaky breath.
He's gone, Yeldarb. Finton's gone.
She broke down into sobs again. "I don't understand. He was killed?" Yeldarb asked. Sarai shook her head.
No. Blackheart came and infected him with the rot. He let it happen.
Yeldarb sat back in his chair, his mind reeling. He hadn't known Finton very long, but such a revelation seemed far outside his character. He was convinced they didn't have the whole story. "We'll just have to save him, then," Yeldarb said. Sarai let out a surprised laugh.
Save him? No one comes back from being infected by the rot.
Yeldarb nodded. "Yes, but Finton is a titan, and not only that, but Blackheart, too, has somehow managed to retain a part of himself. There must be a way." A door swung open behind them. Yeldarb spun around in his chair as two young elves, a boy and a girl, came rushing out into the bar, both dressed in simple pajamas.
"Mommy, I had a bad dream,"
the young elven girl declared. The two children stopped as they spotted Yeldarb. His blue skin, covered in runes, captured their attention. Their eyes wandered up to the horns on his head, one of which was broken. Their eyes reflected curiosity and fear. Sarai wiped the tears from her eyes.
"Children, this is Yeldarb. He's a friend. Yeldarb, this is my son Nolwenn and my daughter Kenadara. She prefers to be called Kenny."
Yeldarb smiled. The children recoiled at the sight of his thin fangs. He quickly covered his mouth with one of his hands. "Oh, my apologies. I must be quite the sight for children such as yourselves," he said. Kenny turned and ran back into the open door at the back of the bar. Yeldarb looked over to Sarai. I didn't mean to scare them." She shook her head.
"No, she's not scared. Look."
Yeldarb turned back around as Kenny returned with a drawing. She held it up proudly. It depicted a blue figure smiling inside of a large cage. "Oh my, is this Italian like me? Where did you hear about us?" Yeldarb asked. Kenny grinned.
"Uncle Finton told me a story about the Italians."
Yeldarb nodded. "Aha, and may I ask why this one is in a cage?" Kenny looked down at the drawing and then back up to Yeldarb.
"Uncle Finton said they liked being in cages."
Yeldarb shot Sarai an unamused look. "Did he now?" Sarai shrugged and offered a weak smile. Yeldarb couldn't help but laugh. "Well, it's a fantastic drawing, young one." Kenny grinned.
"Thanks. I like your horns."
Yeldarb chuckled. "Aha! Why, thank you. Oh, perhaps you two would like to meet my friend, Kevindrel." Kevindrel leapt off the bar and ran over to the two children. Their excitement was nearly beyond words. "A squirrel!" Nolwenn shouted.
"He's so cute!"
Kenny added. "He's quite smart. He can even understand you," Yeldarb said. Kevindrel nodded. Both the children gasped.
"Okay, children, go play with Kevindrel while Yeldarb and I talk,"
Sarai said. The three ran off. Yeldarb turned back to Sarai and smiled. They are wonderful children." Sarai nodded.
"They are my entire world."
Yeldarb stood up and walked to the bar, his eyes scanning the offerings that sat upon the shelves at the back. "Can I make you a drink? Something to clear our minds?" Sarai nodded.
"Yes, that sounds nice. Let me fetch Finton's notes so we can discuss our next steps."
Yeldarb went to work mixing together a variety of ingredients into one of the few cocktails he knew how to make. The name of it escaped him. When Sarai returned with a stack of parchment, Yeldarb set down 2 wood mugs on the table and sat beside her. Sarai took a sip of the drink. Her face twisted into a grimace.
"Ugh, what manner of drink is this?"
she asked. Yeldarb took a sip. A bitter and scorching flavor crashed upon his palate. It was not a very good drink. "Clearly not a good one. Ugh, my apologies," he said. Sarai laughed and set the cup down. She picked up one of the larger parchments and unfurled it onto the table. It was a map of Devine, with several points highlighted with a large red X. She pointed to one of them.
"We need to figure out where Blackheart is going with the Mechanarch. The red marks are places where I've discovered rot seeds."
Yeldarb raised an eyebrow. "Rot seed?"
"It's how the rot has been spreading outside of Avondale. It fractures itself into a smaller piece, one the World Tree cannot detect. It sends that piece out where it can find a host and spread."
Yeldarb nodded. His mind flashed back to their fight with Blackheart in the forest. He remembered the horrifying sight of Blackheart devouring the man who'd been trapped in the tree. I think we saw one of the rot seeds. A man. The fairies trapped him, but Blackheart set him free and then devoured him, Yeldarb said. Sarai nodded.
Finton and I were afraid of that. It's why he sent me to find the other rot seeds and dispose of the host they were attached to.
Sarai's gaze turned distant. Yeldarb reached out and laid his hand over hers. They were infected. You had no other choice, Yeldarb said.
You weren't there, Yeldarb. These were innocent people. Some of them didn't even know the rot had attached itself to them. They begged me for mercy.
Her eyes glistened with tears again. Yeldarb gripped her hand tighter. I'm so sorry, but I promise you this time will be different. We are going to get Finton back. Sarai nodded and wiped more tears from her face.
Yes, I have to believe that. He's a Titan. He won't fall so easily.
Yeldarb looked down to the map and pointed to Titanum Forest where they were currently located. So, you came here to meet up with the Order of the Pawn and to seek out another rot seed? Yeldarb asked.
Yes, it was the last one, but as you know, things did not go as planned.
Yeldarb leaned back in his chair. Now that Blackheart has Finton and a Mechanarch, what's his next move? Sarai shuffled through more of the parchments as Yeldarb looked down at the map of Devine. There were 5 human kingdoms in total, but they were spread out. He thought about the direction the Mechanarch was going.
Finton said something about the other chronospheres before,
Sarai said, still shuffling through the papers. Chronospheres? You mean like the one on your staff? Yeldarb asked. Sarai nodded.
Yes, all the Titans carried one.
She said it like it was a simple fact, but even Yeldarb, a scholar of Devine history, was not aware of this fact. How do you know this? Yeldarb asked.
Finton told me, though I suppose it was meant to be a secret. It doesn't matter now.
Yeldarb looked back down to the map. His eyes traced the trajectory of the Mechanarch based on what he knew. He finally settled on a kingdom located near the eastern coast of the realm. What about Giant's Bane? He asked. Sarai set down the parchments in her hand and looked at the map. A spark of realization flashed across her eyes.
Yes! Giantsbane, you may be onto something.
She plucked a parchment out of the pile and slammed it down on the table. It was a story handwritten by Finton Marybrook. The title at the top of the page read, The Tomb Where Marigolds Grow. One of Finton's stories? Yeldarb asked.
Yes, the story of the Varak Horde. I'm sure you've heard it.
Yeldarb nodded. Countless times, but what do they have to do with this? Sarai shook her head.
I don't know, but it can't be a coincidence. Blackheart was heading directly towards this kingdom. We need to get there before he does.
That's all well and good, but Giant's Bane is a 3 days ride from here on horseback. It would take even longer on foot. Sarai reached into the satchel on her waist and pulled out an unassuming key. It was the one Finton used to open the door to the Radiant Refuge.
This magical bar of ours can help with that. I'll show you what I mean once I finish packing our things. In the meantime, can you try to reach Sir Alistair and the others? I'm hoping they are safe. If so, we need to tell them to meet us at Giantsbane.
Yeldarb nodded and stood up from the table. He walked over to the opposite corner of the bar and pulled out the Kintari stone. It lit up as he focused on his fellow members of the Order of the Pawn. Sir Alistair stood at the bow of Jameson Netherwave's ship, the wind flowing through his shoulder-length hair. His eye patch scanned the kingdom in the distance, displaying data about the weather, the population, and other key metrics in his vision. Does your little eye patch tell us if they've seen us? I'd like to know before we're fired upon, Jameson asked, shouting from the wheel in the back of the ship. It is safe to approach, Sir Alistair replied. It was one of the few times they had spoken since leaving the shores of Titanum Forest. Alara approached, looking out toward Giant's Bane as well. Her violet eyes widened as she looked down toward her bag. She reached inside and pulled out the Kintari stone. It was shaking and glowing. I'll take that, Sir Alistair said. She handed him the stone. He laid his palm upon it, and the sounds of the sea faded away. Hello, can you hear me? A voice asked. Yeldarb, is that you? Sir Alistair replied. Yes! Oh, thank the Titans it's working. Where are you? Are the others safe? I am with Jameson and Alara, yes. We are approaching the shores of Giant's Bane. Oh, good. That's very good. We believe Blackheart is making his way there in a Mechanarch. Sir Alistair turned his gaze down the coast. He could see the silhouette of the Mechanarch, small but noticeable, as it marched toward Giant's Bane. It would be less than a day before it arrived, according to his estimates. We are aware. At the Mechanarch's current pace, we have less than a day to warn the kingdom and prepare for his arrival. Sir Alistair said. Elara met his gaze. Her violet eyes sparkled like stardust. He offered her a weak, comforting smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. Right, well, we'll be there soon as well, Yeldarb said. Sir Alistair was confused. How is that possible? Are you traveling by foot? Yeldarb chuckled. Not exactly. I'll explain when we see you. Very well. Safe travels. Sir Alistair handed the Kintari stone back to Elara. Using the technology in his eye patch, he zoomed into the dock ahead of them. An entire battalion of knights stood at attention, awaiting their arrival. It seems our welcome party has arrived, Sir Alistair shouted. Let's not give them a reason to attack us. Jameson laughed from the back of the ship. Ha 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 ha! I make no promises. The trio docked and calmly exited the ship. The knights, clad in shining armor, recognized one of their own. Nearly everyone in the Kingdom of Giant Spain had heard tale of the Blackened Knight. You have no doubt seen the monstrosity that approaches on the horizon. We are here to help. Please, take us to the castle, Sir Alistair said. His voice was shaking. The knights noticed. They assumed it was fear, but it was something deeper. After all, Sir Alistair had not set foot in Giant Spain since that battle so many Krona ago. The knights escorted the trio to the castle. Everyone surrendered their weapons, though Jameson did hesitate before parting with his. As they walked into the throne room, Sir Alistair looked around the expansive space. Where is King Barrister? I must speak with him immediately, Sir Alistair shouted, his voice echoing across the vaulted ceilings.
King Barrister passed nearly a Krona ago,
a voice said. Sir Alistair's breath hitched in his lungs. A woman with flowing blonde hair and striking emerald eyes entered the room, flanked by 2 guards. Her indigo dress sparkled in the light from the windows all around them. Sir Alistair recognized those eyes, though the last time he had seen them they were burning with crimson fire. It cannot be, he whispered. The woman sat down on the throne, her gaze turning toward the group that stood before her.
You addressed the Queen of Giant Spain.
Thank you for listening. It's all been leading to this. After years of building Devine, after writing so many stories set in this world, now the series has come back to where it all started. The Tomb Where Marigolds Grow is the first Devine story that I ever wrote, so it's fitting that we're back here for the biggest battle the realm has ever seen. Stay tuned in 2 weeks for the next chapter, where we see what happens when Blackheart finally arrives.